Welcome to Uncomfortable Growth Uncut, where we celebrate those who defy fear, embrace growth, and live without regret. In a world that celebrates perfection, we rarely hear about the challenges, fears, and crossroads that successful leaders grapple with across work and life. Uncomfortable Growth Uncut shines a light on their personal story and the critical human skills we all need today to turn trials into triumph. So welcome to Uncomfortable Growth Uncut. Today I'm here with Wayne Brown, who is the founder of Cureative. He'll be able to tell us all about that, but I met Wayne when he participated in my Uncomfortable Growth course about a year and a half ago now, a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And I found him to be such an enlightened soul, and someone who has really reflected on life. And I thought, what a great person to have on Uncomfortable Growth Uncut. So welcome, Wayne.
Thanks, Rowena. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. We get to catch up.
I was just about to say, I know we tried a couple of times and failed for a few reasons out of our control.
Aligning calendars is always the challenge, right? That's when the stars align.
Yeah.
So what's your uncomfortable growth story that you would like to share today?
Good question, first of all. And I've been pondering actually quite a bit over the last few weeks. And it only really came to me, I think, probably last night. Classic place where the to-do list has mounted up, and this has become the priority to really get down to the nitty-gritty. But actually, I've done some work previous to our discussions actually that I thought might be nice to share.
Great.
And it's I know you mentioned about me being like an enlightened soul, and I think that I've got to this stage in my life because I've been through so much as an individual, and I think I'm not alone in that either. I think there's many people out in the world that have gone through lots of struggles and painful situations, and I think it's through those painful situations that you are able to either transform who you are as a human, or you become part of those painful and not so pleasant situations. So
yeah, you can get caught in that down spiral and find it really hard to get out.
yeah, exactly. So I guess what I was going to share today was something that I've been personally working on as a personal project, which is my own personal book, or my own personal documentary that I've written solely for my own purpose. The reason why I started to do this work was because I wanted to understand how I got to where I am today. And I wanted to uncover some things that happened in my life that I wasn't sure of the reasons why they happened.
Yeah.
So if I take you on a little bit of a journey of my life.
I've already got goosebumps. Yeah. Because even just to, I mean, you are such a thoughtful soul. That's why you genuinely are an enlightened person. But even the idea of going back and creating your own story is such a great idea to, explore.
Yeah.
Why and the how. So, okay, I'm gonna let you go. I'm very excited though.
Yeah, a little bit. So I actually think everyone should do their own timeline. So I've created one. I'll see if I can share it with you on here. It's separated into two different colors.
Yeah.
And the red represents external factors, so things that happened out in the world. So for example, September 11, the tragedy in the United States where the Twin Towers were blown up, and that had a huge impact on us as a collective, also as me as an individual. And And then there's other examples in here. So, for example, if I go back to my childhood,
Mm.
there was a time where my mum and dad separated.
Mm-hmm.
I was around 7 or 8 years old, and they separated because my dad was a very violent man. So he used to
Mm-hmm.
beat me, he used to beat my sister, he used to beat my mum.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And yeah. So as a child, we were dealing with that kind of behavior from a man
Yeah.
who's
And trauma
and
and
trauma.
and trauma from that situation.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And when I said to you earlier, you either live the trauma
Mm-hmm.
or you learn
Mm-hmm.
from it, and you,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, become a better human being if you learn from it, not become part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad, as a child, was beaten heavily by his father, and so
Yeah.
instead of learning from it and going, "Oh, I shouldn't do that. It's a bad thing to do," and
Yeah.
these moments will stick with my child forever because
Mm-hmm.
even now, 38, I still remember those
Yeah.
moments. Uh,
Yeah.
they become part of your DNA and who you are as a human.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he never learned from it, so he carried on the behavior, whereas
Mm-hmm.
I've learned from it and would never behave the
Mm-hmm.
way he behaved.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say to myself, he taught me to be the man who I am today.
Mm-hmm. You chose what not to be.
That's right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But then I look at there was some like real pivotal times in my childhood and in to the development of my life where I look back and I go, oh, there's things that happened externally that impacted me internally and my family. And so Princess Diana of Wales
Mm-hmm.
sadly passed away in a tragic car accident.
Yeah.
And it was during that time that she was really well respected and known in the public as this woman who was speaking up for other women and empowering women to have their
Yeah.
voice. She
Yeah.
went against the status quo.
Yeah. She was very compassionate and visibly caring, whereas the monarch had always been more reserved and, kind of separate.
And she
Yeah.
spoke her mind freely. And I don't know how many problems that caused for her. But it was during this when she passed away, sadly in that accident. There was a time when that was when my mum left us randomly. So as
Mm.
kids, we were out with my grandfather. We came home, and my mum just wasn't there. So we were like, "Where is she? What's going on?" It
Mm.
was in the evening, and she just disappeared. And so we had no idea where she was,
What
why
had
she left,
happened?
what had happened. And then I just remember um,
How
going.
old were you at this time, Wayne?
I think I was around 7 or 8. Um,
Okay.
I imagine I was around that age. And then I just remember going upstairs and going into a wardrobe and being like, all of our clothes have gone, and just being like, what the what the hell's going on here? Um,
Mm.
and I can laugh about it today because I feel like I've healed from this journey and it's been part of my life.
Mm.
But then I look at the external factors that led that my mum to make the decision to leave. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was why I've started to do this deep work. 'Cause I felt
Mm.
that many people make decisions based on what's going on around them, not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
what might be the right decision for the person.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're so right. Because whether it's social expectations or hiding reality because you don't want to deal with the fallout, or the judgment, or it could be, I'm assuming Princess Diana passing away probably linked to your mum going, I don't want to die. I I need to go before I'm dead.
Yeah. So I found that super interesting to look back and go, ah,
Mm.
you know, maybe that's why she made that decision, and maybe that's why
Mm-hmm.
these things unfolded the way that they did.
Mm.
interesting.
It's really interesting. And I think really, really deep because a lot of how we behave comes from our subconscious. And, sometimes things happen, but we're reacting rather than choosing, which can also be a key factor in whether you get caught in the cycle or whether you can rise above it and choose something different.
Exactly. Exactly. And in I came from a broken family, and there was always issues around money and not
Mhm,
having enough. And
mhm,
so you find in adulthood you're living with the same kind of DNA in
Fear and mindset.
almost programmed into you. And
Mhm,
throughout my entire childhood and young adulthood, it was always living from a place of lack. And I don't have
mhm,
money, and I don't have
mhm,
the things that my friends have. And so you're constantly then finding yourself battling between doing what the right and wrong.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and certainly where I grew up in Southeast London, where it,
Mm.
it's easier to sell drugs than it is to go and get a full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
or who experience that kind of um, life around them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's easier to join than it is to say no.
In a way, yeah.
Mm.
Not to say that I've ever sold drugs in my life, because I haven't. Just for the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but but like, you look back and all of my friends, all the people that I surrounded myself with, it was all that place of lack
Yeah.
and fear and all of the low vibrational energies that are not conducive of having a great life. And I think,
Yeah.
um, going back to the thought process of, if you live the trauma, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be the trauma and
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
the negative aspects that come
Yeah.
alongside that. And it's easy to get swept away into that world.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things, I've explored a lot, as you know, is your, small self and then best self. But we're more strongly wired for our small self. And if you're living in an environment where there's lots of small self behaviors, not your fault necessarily, but if you're born into a situation where there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of scarcity, there's, the dominance of that is what's in your programming. And that's why it's so hard to step out of it because it's normal.
Mm.
It's part of every day. And I actually had a very privileged is probably the wrong word, but stable childhood where, my parents are still together. Um, middle income family. So money was something to be concerned about, but you were in that middle income. How do I, how do I afford to go on a holiday rather than how do I afford to eat? And and there was a lot of love. And
Mm.
so, you know, for me, learning how to manage my small self and best self is such a different starting point because I've got so much more experience on the best self side with stability, with having a lot of love. And like I really acknowledge that the starting point that we all work from is so different. And
Mm.
it's not apples to apples at all. So I just take my hat off so much to what you're articulating here because it's never someone's fault what they're born into. And the cards are decked against you,
Yeah,
but the only one who can get you out is yourself.
exactly. And I think I'm sure your parents did work on themselves before,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
many, many years before. So it's all about doing the work, I feel.
Mm-hmm. I
It,
totally agree. It's all about doing the work.
and it doesn't happen in a month.
No.
It happens over a lifetime. And I think that's kind of what I've uncovered, what I feel like I've uncovered a little bit here. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was the kind of start of life. Just going back to this beautifully designed chart that I made. And and then the next phase, I've kind of identified it as start and development of life. So I think
Mm.
as a child, that's where you're kind of programmed by your parents in a way, and the studies that are out to support that. I don't know enough to say much more than that. But I do know that, anyone under the age of 7, that is where all of your learnings and program
Yeah.
happens.
Or your foundations, because that's when your brain doesn't have any baseline and it's just sucking it all in as baseline.
Right. Okay. So um, everything you learn from your parents is in essence who you become during the development phase of your life. So
Mhm.
talk about the lack and the fear and coming from a low social economic family. Um,
Mhm.
this was the start of me becoming or learning to become self self-sufficient.
Mhm.
So I, I look back and I go, oh, okay, parents, my dad would never give me any money for for lunch, for example. He was like, there's bread and there's some cheese and make yourself a sandwich and take it to school. And it's like, okay, great, that's fine. But when you're surrounded with your mates they're all getting,
Eating meat pies or fish and chips or whatever it is, something that does look delicious.
yeah, or they're going to the vending machine and they're buying all the snacks that they want because their parents have given them plenty of money to use. So I used to do, looking back, stupid little things like play penny up the wall, which was a really popular game back in the school days. Or I would figure out ways to save money. So I might not always buy a bus ticket. I might kind of
Try and scam it.
try and scam it.
Yeah. So you could get the vending machine snacks like and feel normal.
Exactly, yeah. And so during the phase of like school, secondary school, I was always trying to figure out life, but then also figure out
Mm.
how to um how to get money to
Yeah.
pay for things and to live life on my own terms in my own way.
Yeah, because it's safety as
Exactly.
well. It's control and safety if you don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And then if I look back at the chart during this time, um, so this was okay then. So then I look at what's going on around me during that time. So during school time, see when you're growing up, you're very much trying to figure out what it is to be a young man and all of the things that come alongside that. And then you look at the external influences,
Mm.
and September 11 was a
Mm.
massive thing when I was around school age.
Mm-hmm.
All of the fear and the terror, the constant uncertainty of, are we going to get bombed tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was so much fear and insecurity back then, and being in London where
Mm.
pretty crammed in as a country or as a
Yep.
city. And so you kind of find yourself constantly living in this world of fear and uncertainty.
Mm. And I do see the difference in that because I mean Australia is so far removed from the rest of the world and it's such a small population, right? Like it doesn't really figure on the global visibility scale. Whereas if you're living in London, you're a prime target. So New York, London,
Yeah.
other key cities in the world, if something's going to happen in New York, it could also happen in London. Whereas the kind of, I don't know, sense that that could also happen in Sydney, of course, it's still there, but it doesn't feel nearly as likely.
In a way, yes, and I think having been here for 7 years now, I think Australia is just it's a beautiful country in itself, but so are the humans that live here, and I think that it's a very safe,
Mhm.
um, well connected uh,
Mhm.
city in the sense that humans respect humans, and we.
Mhm.
I always say to my friends back home, I can walk around with my phone and not worry about someone coming up to me and asking me for it, or I can leave my
Mm.
phone in a pub on the side and
Yeah.
come back
Not
and
have it swiped.
yeah, it's either been handed in or it's still there. And I think unfortunately that
Yeah, that's not the case always.
yeah.
But I think just to even, provide, context how I see Sydney, because I've lived in the US and I've lived in Singapore. Um, but I also think going back to the earlier point, and in as an average, it's a easier life or nicer life. Like the weather is nicer. Um, yes, there's still challenges and toughness, but if you were to say, here's your 1 year in the same similar socioeconomic in Sydney versus the same in London, I think it would be a lot tougher in London. And to the point that you've made around, um, you know, just the level of like violence or taking stuff, or it is different.
Mhm.
And I think my husband, as you know, is Scottish, and so he's always had this saying about, Australians don't realize how good they've got it, which is why they go traveling,
Mhm.
but they always come home.
Yeah.
Whereas he's from Scotland and he's like, no, Australia's my home.
Mhm.
Still very Scottish, but a lot of British people stay here.
Yeah. Yeah, I can empathize with that completely.
Hmm.
Given the state of the UK at the moment as well. Uh,
Hmm.
so trying to stay on track somewhat with you. Development of life, secondary school, going into college. This was where through that lack and fear and insecurity of home life and dealing with my parents.
Mm.
So this was where there was lots of you know fighting and arguing. Now they're divorced. They're still fighting and arguing. Um,
So your
now,
mum came back. Your mum reappeared.
so she reappeared, but they divorced when I was around 9-ish. And then from that point, Dad wasn't really around. He was busy, too busy working. So we spent a lot of our
Mhm.
time looking after ourselves, taking
Hmm.
ourselves to school. So wasn't a very present
Hmm.
father, I would say. Still isn't, to be fair. Um, but now they're divorced. We're now seeing we're not seeing the physical violence anymore. We're seeing the mental violence. So
Hmm.
playing mind games with each other, and we're using the
Hmm.
kids
Yeah.
to um, to have influence over one another. So consistently
Hmm.
playing mind games, and then as a young kid trying to navigate secondary school. becoming
Mm-hmm.
a young man and all of the things that are
Mm-hmm.
associated with that, and then the external factors in and around you, all I feel seem to have that impact on you and uh, influence as well.
Yep.
So then I found myself in a situation where I started to have mental illness, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and so did my sister. So my sister actually ended up in hospital where she uh, she just stopped eating one day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just couldn't diagnose it. I mean, back then, I say back then, it's not that long ago, but like back then, mental health wasn't really something that we spoke about,
No, 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 it wasn't.
or,
Hidden
or
under the carpet. It was just, they're not around.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like talking about external factors, we've come so far in such a short space of time where we're having
Mm-hmm.
conversations like this, where we're happy to share that.
Yeah.
And I think that talks to the external factors and how that is
Mm-hmm.
supporting the next generation, and that's only a good thing. Can only be a
Yeah.
positive thing, somewhat. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so she's struggling with eating. We're not sure why. She turned anorexic, and then we find ourselves in a situation where, um, you know, is she going to be okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And just not understanding what's going on with my sister. Like, why she just stopped?
Mm-hmm.
And it was purely down to the external factors being her parents and the way they were treating her, and the, the just confusion and
Mm-hmm.
mind games and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we were kind of developing through our life. And during these times, I was always trying to work out how to make money. So I was
Mm-hmm.
a bit of a Del boy, some people might call it, but I'd always be trying to hustle and find out ways
Yeah.
to make money. So one way we lived on a golf course, or
Mm-hmm.
all up on one, and so I would grab a friends and we would go and find golf balls, wash them, and then take them to the players and sell them back to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Worked really well, and so we did things like that. We did things like washing cars because we were on
Mm-hmm.
estate, so we could just go knocking on people's doors and wash their cars. So I think that's where I started to develop the idea that I could make my own money and I could work for
Mm-hmm.
myself. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the entrepreneurial spirit
Mm-hmm.
was born
Yeah.
during that. So it was a consequence of my circumstances.
Uh-huh.
And then, so progress through school and trying to navigate parents. My mum remarries and has my sister, my beautiful sister Mia, who I was talking to you about just before the call.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of start this new family
Mm-hmm.
by me and my sister and Mia now, and my mum
Mm-hmm.
are around, all living together with my stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I start going to university,
Mm-hmm.
and navigating that. And this phase is where what I call the breakdown of my life. So,
Mm-hmm.
and this is around the age of 20 to 28. And
Mm-hmm.
so starting university is a big deal. You kind of navigating a new
Mm-hmm.
educational system, like we were saying about your daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
come to you and it's like, here's a project, get it done by this day, versus here's your homework, get it done by tomorrow, kind of thing.
Yes. It's on you.
It's on you, yeah, and so is all of the self-learning. Uh,
Yeah.
what I found at university was I was miles behind everyone, and the reason being was that the course that I wanted to do was actually photography, and I didn't get
Mm.
onto the course, and so I ended up uh, going onto the digital and graphic design course. And at the time, I was unsure. I had no idea really what to expect. But when I started the course, I learned very quickly that I knew zero. So, I, and it's all a software. So you have to know the software and learn it. And that in
Yeah.
itself takes many, many years. And all of my peers had maybe a year or two experience because they've done foundation courses or they've done it at college.
Mm-hmm.
In coming in fresh. And I just remember struggling
Mm.
every single day trying to learn the software and then trying to execute the briefs because we were
Mm.
given like creative tasks. So there's ideation, then there's execution, and the execution aspect is you have to know the software to be able to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, randomly, I remember breaking my leg at that time, so that prohibited me from going to the classes, and so it
Mm-hmm.
just kind of spiraled for me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then I remember getting through, just about scraping through the first year, and the one of the lecturers, I never forget him. His name was Mark, and he said to me, I was like, I'm going to quit. That I can't do it anymore. I quit. It's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Give up. And he was like, don't quit. You will see that you will come out the other side of this a different person. And there's people I believe in your life that come into your life that have that level of impact. And
Yeah.
and he is 100% one of them. Where I look back and I go, if he didn't tell me to carry on, I probably would have quit and then
Mm-hmm.
ended up not doing a job that I love.
Yeah.
Um,
It's right person, right time, isn't it? And it's so powerful because you could tip either way. It's that scale where you could tip right or you could tip left. And wow, those people make all the difference
yeah,
which way you tip.
yeah, and I always acknowledge there's a few people that have had that impact on my life, and I always
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge them as much as I acknowledge my parents because
Mm-hmm.
they all are teaching me to become the person who I am today. Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
this and it goes back to the external influences and
Mm-hmm.
how things influence your life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we're in the breakdown phase, and this is where the breakdown starts because um unfortunately, one of my friends in my class was diagnosed with cancer, and
Mm-hmm.
out of nowhere, he just went quiet and didn't really know why. So he wasn't communicating with anyone. And then a few months later, we found out that he'd passed away, and it was it was the second time that I dealt with a friend that had died. But this one
Mm-hmm.
hit me quite hard, and I think it hit me hard because he was so young,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like dealing with that kind of grief,
Mm-hmm.
friends dying, versus
Mm-hmm.
um,
And so random and unfair. Again, that randomness of it happened to him, it could happen to me.
yeah, yeah, even to this day, I remember his smile and his laughter and how infectious he was as a human, and how much fun we had together as humans. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so this was where I started to deal with death at quite a young age. Only 20, 21, um, trying to navigate that. And then I had um, another friend pass away from cancer, and he was a
Wow.
old friend. And so
Mm.
you're kind of sitting around going, what is happening at this moment? Like, why are all these people dying around me? And then I remember my granddad. Literally, this is all like within a couple of years apart, and then my granddad then passes away all of a sudden
Mhm.
from cancer as well. And then you just kind of trying to navigate. Okay, now my granddad's passed away, and trying to be there for your father, trying to be there for yourself, trying to be there for the friends that are around you, and I deal with all of this emotion. So if I look back at my timeline and the stages of my life, I kind of go, oh, you're living in fear and lack, and now I'm living in a situation where I'm constantly grieving over
Yeah.
not just one person, but three or four people, and then
Yeah.
you're in a situation where you're just sad
Yeah.
constantly. And then a few years later, so my nan passed away, and my nan was the one kind of like stable human who was always there and comforted me and
Mm-hmm.
supported me, albeit from afar. She lived in the States,
Mm-hmm.
and then that for me was like, this is it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
can I deal with life anymore? How do I navigate the situation? I don't have parents that can support me because they've never been in this situation themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It just became a situation where, yeah, I've identified it as the breakdown of my life
Yeah.
and that's what it was really.
Yeah.
Massive, massive breakdown. Struggled to deal with the death of several, several of a few people
Mm-hmm.
in a short space of time. Just felt like everyone was leaving me. Everyone who was around me
Mm-hmm.
was leaving me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
But so during this time, this was where I met my first serious girlfriend at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we met during uni, and we stayed together for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
We got engaged. We bought a house together.
Mm-hmm. So it was very serious.
Very, very serious. And
Yeah.
the reason why I'm sharing this though is because so after the passing of friends and family, and
Mm.
during this time we're together, so we're dealing with that
Mm.
together, supporting each other as much as we can and how we know.
Mm.
We, we,
Mm.
um, and then we get engaged, we buy this house, we move into the house, and then during this time we spent a lot of time developing the house, so making it home.
Yeah. Mm.
So, and then I remember moving in, and then about 6 months later, um, she just well, we had like a mini argument, as you do in relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
They come with their their ups and their downs.
Mm-hmm.
She just left and never came back.
Wow. So this goes also links back to when your mum just got up and left.
Got up and left, never came back. Um, had
Over
no,
what it sounds like was just an argument, not the cataclysmic we're done argument.
I mean, perhaps I look back and I say to myself, perhaps that should have happened a few years sooner.
Mm.
Perhaps we stayed together longer than what we should have.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps for her, that was a combination of arguments that led to that
Mm-hmm.
situation. So I don't put it solely down to just that one argument that ended a relationship. But I
Mm.
do look at it and go,
Mm.
okay, perhaps we should have ended things sooner. Perhaps
Mm-hmm.
stayed together longer than what we should have.
Mm-hmm.
But then I go, okay, and that for me was rock bottom. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't deal with life. So then I'm in a situation where I'm going through this breakdown, and literally everything's coming up for me. So, this my mum did this to me, and
Yeah. Yeah.
friends passed away, and they've left me.
Yeah.
I, the one person who I really truly loved and could rely on, she's
Mm-hmm.
gone, and
Yeah. Because she was your light through, like she was the positive through all of the darkness of people dying and the deaths and so she was like the good thing.
yeah,
And
exactly.
then she's gone.
Yeah. And
Mm.
and then I just found myself in a situation where I'm in a house by myself with two cats, and uh, and what next? So, and then this is where the breakdown continues, because the relationship didn't end the way it probably should have. Um,
Yeah.
she stopped paying the mortgage and stopped paying the bills, and then I found myself in a financial struggle. So now
Mhm.
back to dealing with
Yeah.
this financial situation, and um,
Yeah.
was unable to afford the mortgage in essence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we we sold the house and finally managed to kind of wipe the slate clean. But then this is where I feel there was this like awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I deem as the fourth phase
Mm-hmm.
of the journey. So and I think this happens perhaps to many other people, and I'm sure there's others that can relate. Um, just before you hit 30, I think for me it was like this whole reevaluation of my life and reevaluation of um, what the hell I'm doing. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I remember Australia just coming up for me, and it took me 2 years to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember going into work one day and saying, I quit, and moving to Australia. And yeah, and then I found myself um, going traveling for 6 months, traveled around Southeast Asia, uh, became, I would say, more aware of who I am as a
Mm-hmm.
human,
Mm-hmm.
able to reflect a lot on relationships and life in London and all the things that had happened, how I got to where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
I, it's like life just happened to me. So
Mm-hmm.
after my trip in Southeast Asia, where I studied loads on Buddhism, and
Mm-hmm.
almost decided to stay and become a monk, because I was like, this is this has got to be the life for me. But I did miss Western society, and I was very much looking forward to coming to Australia. So I came here with just a laptop, and when I say life just happened to me, that is exactly what happened, because I didn't really have an intention to stay. I didn't have an intention to set up a company. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like the universe just gifted me this new life and this new opportunity. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when I look at it, it enabled me to come to Australia as a new Wayne, like a reborn Wayne. So the person I am today is not the person I was 7 years ago. It's not the person I was 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I am the person I am today because of all of the internal and external influences that have happened to
Yeah.
me, enabled me to study life,
Mm-hmm.
learn from it, and and shift myself and my energy into a place where it's not in a place of fear and lack
Mm-hmm.
and guilt. It's in a place of abundance and being happy and joyful and being
Mm-hmm.
peaceful and
Choosing to not get stuck in all of the trauma, like you said, like you were able to recognize it, learn from it, but then to choose to embrace the positives of life more. Because that is the central challenge, right? And so I want to, I just want to ask you, what, what, what enabled you to do that? Like, what, if you had to try, like, if someone else was going, oh my gosh, I can so relate to this.
mm,
My life different but same.
yeah.
And I want to know what is the recipe that I can copy and paste from Wayne.
Mm.
What? What is that?
I say to myself often, through great pain
Uh-huh.
comes enormous pleasure. And so you have to lean into the pain, I think,
Mm,
to get to the pleasure.
mm,
Whereas it requires you to do a lot of self work. So I've not got here by myself. I've done
mhm,
therapy sessions, and I do lots of meditations, and
mhm,
um, I'm currently doing some work um, around this stuff that I've shared with you today. I'm doing some deep
mm,
work to try and unlock um, trauma that is within me that I'm
mhm,
unaware of. So an example of that would be that within business,
mhm,
I, in moments, I might feel quite fearful. Is
mhm,
is that company happy with the work that we're producing? Is that person happy
mhm,
with what I've done for them?
mm,
Difference today is that I can observe that thought and I
mm,
can react to it, or I can allow it to be, or I can allow myself to be part of it. So difference being sit at home uh, in my own head going, this client
mm,
hates me or this person hates me because of this thing that I've made up. Or I could
mm,
go, oh, that's a thought, feeling,
mm,
and I choose to acknowledge that it's there and acknowledge the fear that's coming with that thought and feeling, but I'm gonna move away from it because it's not true.
mm,
I think the biggest trick that people need to um, grasp is the awareness of
mm,
thought and feeling,
mhm,
and
mhm.
managing that.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying on so many levels because none of us can control what happens, right? So whether it's things that happen to us personally or broader events in the world, we're not in control. And so until we learn that skill of what you're saying, which is it's happening to you, you need to acknowledge it and understand it and appreciate it. Don't run from it or bury it or hide it because it's still there,
Mm.
but learn from it, but know it's just a thought or a fear. And that there's also beautiful things that exist on this other side that are part of your existence as well. It doesn't have to be only the hard stuff, the dark stuff, your small self.
Yeah.
There's beautiful stuff that's over here as well, and they coexist. So it's not like you can ever get rid of your small self because that's part of life.
Yeah.
But it provides that perspective to your best self. And the thing I also love, just linking back to something you said earlier, which is you have to do this work. It's not, and this has been my experience as well. It's not theory of, oh, yeah, yeah, I get what you're talking about. We all know mental health is real. We all know cycles of trauma. Like, we know this stuff, but a lot of the time we know it academically.
Mm.
We don't know it internally, and we haven't worked through how we learn how to manage it. And
Mm.
that's also what I'm so passionate about because learning some of these skills means that you can enjoy the positives and beauty of life as well. You don't have to be kind of stuck on the small self and the hard stuff in life. That's still going to happen. Some people have a much bigger share than others, right? Like your share is way higher than mine. But we all have the ability to learn and to choose something different if we've got the courage to do the work.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The hardest part is doing the work.
Hmm. Hmm. And the only person who can do the work is the person, right? because your existence is 100% with you.
Yeah. Yeah, completely right. And I think, the four stages that I broke down, and choosing to move away from the problems or the situations, super important for you to live your best life. And the only way you can live your best life is if you can be aware of the internal and external influences on your life. So and I think, today I run a company that operates globally. Got teams in various countries around the world. It operates day and night, and that would I'm lost for words, because when I say it out loud, I go, I came from that
hard place.
That hard place. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. and if I allowed myself to live from a place of fear and lack and low vibration energies, there's no way that I'll be able to live my best life. And that's it.
Well, like I said at the start, I know you, the enlightened soul, Wayne, and I'm just so grateful to you for sharing your story, because it's hard. And you are someone who I think is such an incredible role model, who leans into the work, who has experienced such hard stuff, but are living proof that you can learn to take a different path. And so I just want to say thank you so much for your story, Wayne.
Thanks, Rowena. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to talk to you and open up to you about it. I was contemplating what I should share, what I shouldn't share, and I think this is probably the best format for me to do it. So thank you so much. And I'm sure this in itself is a form of therapy for anyone else who wants to share their story and open up about their life journey.
Yeah. And just for anyone who's thinking about how do I get started on the work, that's what uncomfortable growth is about. It's first level. It's different to therapy, but if you're someone who just thinks I want to start, but I don't know where to start, then you can find out more about uncomfortable growth on my website, etc. But thank you again, Wayne. Your message will just be incredible for so many people. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Rowena. And yeah, I can highly recommend the uncomfortable growth. It was great when I did it. I think it's great because it has you bring frameworks that allow you to put the puzzle pieces together. That's what I found. It's and I need to do more work with you on the other aspects that you offer. But I think having someone who can help you to put the puzzle pieces together, that's invaluable. Do you know what I mean? Like having that is it's the start of the building blocks to help you to navigate the next steps or phase or whatever that looks like for the individual. But I think yeah, similar to when I talk to business people who have who are years ahead or have been to places that I would like to take the business, it's like to them it's been done for them.
Yeah, the steps, the way to do it.
Yeah, and that's where I think you add huge value to people's lives, is that you are the person that can help them take the steps to unlocking their lives.
Well, thank you so much, Wayne.
Thanks, Rowena. Appreciate you.
If you are inspired but thinking, I can't do that, then you are so wrong. Anyone can learn the art of uncomfortable growth with the help of my flagship program, Uncomfortable Growth, Own Your Reinvention. In this, you will learn to navigate your own internal contradictions to finally unlock the courage and commitment to live a deeply meaningful life by design and on your terms. Uncomfortable growth is about the struggle and joy in discovering who you are, what you truly want, and how to make it happen. If this is something you are ready for, then find out more at www.rowenamillward.com. What have you got to lose, or more importantly, gain?